He stood just inside the glass doors, shaking the rain from his jacket, the smell of wet asphalt and cheap coffee clinging to him. The restaurant was warm, bright, alive with the low hum of dinner chatter and the clink of silverware. For a moment, Daniel Carter simply watched. He always did. It was a habit born from years of being unseen, of measuring spaces before stepping fully into them. To anyone else, he was just another tired single dad in worn jeans and a faded hoodie, holding the hand of a little girl with sleepy eyes and damp curls tucked under a pink beanie. "Daddy, can we sit by the window?" Lily asked softly, rubbing her eyes. Daniel smiled down at her. "If it's open, sweetheart." They stepped forward, shoes squeaking faintly on the polished floor. The hostess stand was unmanned, but behind it, a woman in her early 30s barked orders at a server balancing plates. Her blazer was crisp, her hair pulled into a severe bun, her eyes sharp and constantly moving. This was Megan Holt, the night manager, and tonight she was already in a bad mood. Daniel waited patiently, Lily leaning against his leg. He didn't clear his throat or wave. He'd learned long ago that patience revealed more than impatience ever could. Megan finally noticed them, her eyes flicking over Daniel in a quick, dismissive scan before settling on Lily. "Can I help you?" she asked, her tone clipped. "Yes, ma'am," Daniel said calmly. "Just a table for two." Megan glanced around the dining room, then back at Daniel. "Do you have a reservation?" "No, but—" "We're pretty full tonight," she interrupted. "It's Friday." Daniel nodded. "I can see that. We don't mind waiting." Megan's eyes narrowed slightly. She looked at Lily again, then at Daniel's damp jacket, his scuffed shoes. Something in her expression shifted, hardened. "This isn't a waiting area," she said. "You'll need to step aside." Daniel felt the familiar sting, but he kept his voice steady. "Of course. We'll stand over there." They moved to the side near a decorative plant. Lily tugged on his sleeve. "Did we do something wrong?" "No, baby," he whispered. "Not at all." Minutes passed. Families were seated. Couples laughed as they were led to tables. No one came back for Daniel and Lily. Megan avoided looking in their direction, but Daniel noticed how often her gaze flicked back. Suspicion etched into her face. Finally, Lily's stomach growled loud enough to make her giggle. Daniel crouched to her level. "Almost there," he said gently. Megan had heard the sound. She marched over, arms crossed. "Sir, I need to ask you again. Are you planning to order food?" Daniel looked up at her, surprised. "Yes, that's why we're here." She exhaled sharply. "We've had issues lately with people coming in, sitting around asking for water, and leaving without paying. This is a business, not a shelter." The word hit harder than Daniel expected. Lily stiffened beside him. "I assure you," Daniel said quietly, "we're here for dinner." "I'll be paying." Megan's lips tightened. "With what?" "Because if you don't have a valid form of payment, I can't seat you." Daniel slowly reached into his pocket and pulled out his wallet, opening it just enough to show a credit card. Megan barely glanced at it. "I'm sorry," she said, not sounding sorry at all. "I'm going to have to ask you to leave." Daniel stood towering over her without meaning to. He took a breath, forcing himself to remain calm. "I'd prefer to speak with the owner." That did it. Megan's eyes flashed. "The owner is not available, and I'm the manager on duty. Now please escort your daughter outside." Lily's hand tightened in his. Daniel felt anger rise, hot and dangerous, but he pushed it down. "I'm not causing a disturbance," he said. "We're simply trying to eat." Megan stepped back and raised her voice. "Sir, if you do not leave immediately, I will call the police." The room grew quieter. Nearby diners glanced over, curiosity and discomfort mixing on their faces. Lily's eyes filled with tears.
"Daddy?"
she whispered. Daniel knelt again, brushing her cheek. "It's okay." Megan pulled out her phone. Last chance. Daniel looked around the restaurant he had poured his life into. The place he had built from the ground up after his wife died. The place that paid for Lily's school and the salaries of every person in the room. He saw the exposed brick walls he had insisted on keeping, the lighting fixtures he'd chosen himself, the menu framed on the wall with recipes that had once been scribbled on napkins at his kitchen table. "Go ahead," he said softly. Megan scoffed and turned away, already dialing. "Yes, I'd like to report a trespasser," she said loudly. "A man refusing to leave my restaurant." Lily began to cry silently, her small shoulders shaking. Daniel pulled her into his chest, rocking her gently. "I'm right here," he murmured. The wait felt endless. Conversations resumed in hushed tones. Servers avoided the area entirely. Megan stood with her arms folded, watching Daniel like a hawk. When the police arrived, 2 officers stepped inside, scanning the room. Megan rushed to them, gesturing animatedly toward Daniel. "That's him," she said. "He came in soaking wet, no reservation, refused to leave." I felt unsafe. One of the officers, a tall man with kind eyes, approached Daniel cautiously. "Sir, can you stand up for me?" Daniel complied, keeping Lily close. "Of course, officer. Is this your daughter?" "Yes." "Sir, the manager says you're refusing to leave private property." Daniel nodded. "She did ask me to leave. I asked to speak to the owner." The officer frowned slightly. "And why's that?" Daniel met his gaze. "Because I am the owner." The words hung in the air like a dropped plate. Megan laughed sharply. "That's ridiculous." The officer turned to her. "Ma'am, is that true?" "Absolutely not," Megan snapped. "The owner is a wealthy investor. This man is lying." Daniel reached into his wallet again, pulling out a different card, then another. He handed them to the officer. "My name is Daniel Carter. I'm the sole owner of Carter's Table." The officer studied the documents, then glanced at the framed certificate on the wall behind the hostess stand. "Carter's Table, established by Daniel Carter." Silence fell over the restaurant. Megan's face drained of color. That's not possible," she stammered. "You never said—" "I never thought I had to," Daniel replied quietly. The officer handed back the papers. "I'm sorry for the inconvenience, sir. It appears there's been a misunderstanding." Megan's mouth opened and closed, words failing her. I was just doing my job." Daniel looked around the room, at the diners who had watched, at the servers frozen in place, at his daughter still clutching his jacket. "Your job," he said evenly, "is to treat people with respect." He turned to the officers. "Thank you for coming." They nodded and left, murmuring apologies as they went. Megan stood trembling, her authority evaporated in seconds. "I didn't know," she whispered. "If I had known—" "That's the problem," Daniel said. "You shouldn't have needed to know." He took Lily's hand and walked toward a table by the window. A server hesitated, then rushed forward. "Mr. Carter, please let me seat you." They sat. Lily wiped her cheeks. "Daddy, why was she so mean?" Daniel swallowed. "Sometimes people decide who you are before you open your mouth." The server brought water, hands shaking. "I'm so sorry," she said. "We've never seen you in person." Daniel smiled faintly. "I like to stay in the background." Megan hovered nearby, clearly panicking. "Mr. Carter, please let me make this right. Your meal will be on the house." Daniel looked at her for a long moment. He saw fear there and something else too, shame. "That won't be necessary," he said. "But we will talk later." Dinner passed quietly. Lily perked up as her favorite pasta arrived. Daniel watched her eat, relief washing over him. Around them, the restaurant slowly returned to normal, though eyes still flicked toward their table. Afterward, Daniel asked Megan to join him in the office. She entered stiffly, hands clasped. "I know I messed up," she said quickly. "I shouldn't have judged you. I've just been under pressure and—" Daniel held up a hand. "This isn't about me. It's about how you treated my daughter." Megan's eyes filled with tears. "I didn't think—" "No," Daniel agreed. "You didn't." He leaned back in his chair. "I built this place after my wife died. I wanted it to feel warm, welcoming. Somewhere no one felt small." "I understand," she whispered. "Do you?" Daniel asked. "Because tonight a little girl learned that some doors aren't open to everyone." Megan nodded, tears spilling. "I'm so sorry." Daniel sighed. "I believe you, which is why I'm giving you a choice. You can stay, but things will change, training, accountability. Or you can leave." "I'll change," she said immediately. "I promise." Daniel studied her for a long moment, then nodded. "Then we start tomorrow." When he returned to the dining room, Lily was drawing on a napkin. "Daddy," she said brightly, "can we come back again?" Daniel smiled, a mix of sadness and hope in his chest. "Yes," he said. "We can." As they left that night, rain had stopped, the streetlights reflecting off wet pavement. Daniel held Lily close, knowing the world would keep testing them, but also knowing who he was and who he wanted his daughter to be.